My name is Kirk Sadusky. I work at Playtone. We produced Band of Brothers. Inevitably, when I talk to somebody about that project, they always bring up the interviews with the real men of Easy Company that preceded every episode. So I want to tell you a story about those interviews. When we first started the project, one of the first things we did is have a film crew go to the various homes of the men of Easy Company. Pennsylvania, West Virginia, California, North Carolina, Oregon, and really all across America. And after a few days of this, the director with our film crew called me in Los Angeles. And he said, you know, it's funny, every time we pull into a new neighborhood and to go up to a new home of an Easy Company member, there's always a crowd of people outside. And at first he thought, well, everybody sort of thinks that maybe Tom Hanks will be there, or it's Hollywood and there are cameras and it's exciting and glamorous. But he realized pretty quickly that it had nothing to do with any of that. Because what it really was, the reason that there were so many people crowded into the living room is that this is the first time Grandpa has ever told this story.
To commemorate the 20th anniversary of the epic series Band of Brothers, the Normandy Institute and Genesis Publications are proud to share highlights of the 2005 Easy Company reunion tour to Normandy, Holland, and the Ardennes. To have walked in the footsteps of these heroes was an immense honor. But perhaps the most touching part of the reunion was to bear witness to their shared sorrow, humor, and camaraderie. They were quite simply a real-life band of brothers.
The heroes didn't come home. We just the other guys. But I've always said the heroes didn't come home. But life goes on.
Looking at those crosses and whatnot, you get choked up, you know. You get a lot of friends in there. It hurts when you go to see something like that.
I'm glad that I met all these guys, you know, during the war, and glad as many of us that did got back safe. That is the most important thing about it, and the fact that we did do what we were supposed to do, which we tried, and that is I just feel like that we accomplished something.
See, there's a stick in the plane, it's called a stick, and there's about 18 or 20 guys, and you take, when the first guy goes out to the last guy, well, that's about 18 or 20 seconds. When the plane is supposed to be going 90 miles an hour, but he's going about 120, so you can imagine the distance between the first guy that jumps out and the last guy. There's at least 5, 6, 7 miles distance. So it took us a day and a half to 2 days to get together, you know. And
yes, we always kid that we made more. We went out of the plane without landing in a plane for many, many times.
This is true.
A day like this is like the day we jumped in September the 17th, 1944. I'm amazed at how much the people turn out just to talk to a bunch of old beat-up men like we are, you know.
I think the biggest thing is meeting guys that you haven't seen in 20 years, you know, and that they're still healthy and still getting around and just shooting the breeze.
I never realized how heavy it was till one time I went over to Fort Bragg with one of the guys, buddies of mine, and they had one of these out there, and I reached down, picked it up, and I said, "Oh my God, this thing's heavy." You never realized during the war that that it was that heavy.
Of course, I jumped same time everybody else did. I landed in the flooded area where the Germans had flooded it, and I was fortunate enough that I landed right in a ditch. I didn't know it was a ditch, but it was. It was 18 inches deep out on the right, 18 inches deep on the left, and 7 feet in the ditch. So that's where I picked to land. And I almost drowned before I got out of there.
McClung landed at the church, just outside the church. And Buck Taylor and Keene and I landed in a little field, right about in here, this area here, slightly out of St. Maria Glees. And then from there, we got on this road here and went down. It's probably this road, but anyhow, it was a road that went down toward the beach, and we went down here.
The plane went down, I understand, just behind here in the field. Forrest Guth was the first one to come across it, and that we know of. He did not know at that time it was company headquarters plane, but he saw the remains that had burned, parts of bodies and so forth, and later on learned that it was the company headquarters plane.
The residents around here knew that it burned for days. There was very, very little left as it blew up. If I'm correct, a set of dog tags of Sergeant Evans was found in a tree some 20 years later. So that gives you an idea of, remains and all that.
Now, some of our platoon was up at Brécourt. Popeye for one, and they had pretty tough. But there's no way of knowing just how many lives that Winter's outfit saved when it took those 4 artillery pieces, because it's falling right down on the beach. So I'm sure it was hundreds.
It was a kind of a signature piece of what happened on D-Day, because the position was unknown by the American intelligence. They didn't know it was there, and it had been moved in about 2 months before, and the aerial reconnaissance had not picked it up. The Germans, when they went out and attended the guns or anything else, they didn't walk across the field. They walked on the edge of things, so that there was no indication from the air of German activity crossing those fields there. But it was just a lucky deal. That's what it was. Period. I told Dick Winters that once down in Lake Tahoe, and he said, "What do you mean luck?" I said, "It was just luck." I said, "There's no other way we could have done that but the way we did it, and that was just luck." he was mad about that. But the one thing that has to be said here, one thing that has to be said here that wasn't said, and E Company had a little bit to do with it, and there's no excuses to be made about E Company and what they did here. It was the 101st Airborne Division that maintained a circle around Bastogne and performed the greatest feat of arms in the history of the war in Europe. And don't anybody ever forget that.
Bravo, bravo.
We will, Tom. We will.
Oh,
You sure?
Yeah.
oh. Well, what else you got to say about me? I don't have anything. I better get out of here. My wife's been waiting for me. Well, she's the only one. Yeah, you got that right. Shelling? I don't remember no shelling.
Or no snow.
Or
right,
no
Frank?
snow. Yeah, don't believe this guy.
But anyway, you never had to lose for Conti.
Okay, hold it.
Was
Hold it. Hold it.
the middle of the day or the middle of the night, why you just stood sideways and had his big nose out there and then you could see him.
I just want to tell you guys one thing. If bullshit was blood, he'd be wounded.
Actually, the reason I wanted to come so bad was for the honor the person that got killed in here. I knew two of them got killed right by me. Mallet and A.P. Heron, good friends of mine.
I think I mentioned to a couple people here recently that we've had men come to reunions in wheelchairs and go home and die.
There's a great deal of pride in the fact that you come places like this and these people have a kind of a hero worship that I don't think is necessarily deserved. So we were here, so we did it, so we got it done. That's really was the whole thing.
I have so many people that I have to thank for probably being alive, you know, and they thank me for being alive. But it's a trade-off, but we're awful close, all of us. We may not seem that way, but just let something happen and we're there.
For those of you who are not familiar with all the men of E Company, I think there are 12 or 13 here this morning that made D-Day. And they went, for the most part, through the war completely. Why they stayed alive, no one knows, but we're all here today. There were thousands that died in the Battle of the Bulge. And E Company is only one of 1,000 rifle companies in the United States Army during that period. We all knew that we were good soldiers. E Company thought they were better than most. But still, there were many companies that suffered many more casualties than we did, particularly in these woods. I've stories between fellas and things that they've taken care of for one another. When after the war, we had alcoholics, we had things that they took people out of the gutter and bought clothes for them, tried to get them straightened out and so forth. And that's the kind of camaraderie that exists.
And I thank you people just deep, deep down. And if it means anything, there's not many people in the world that I ever say, I love you, but I do, every one of you, for what you've done and what you mean to me. It's just wonderful.